Hello everyone, it's me, Clayton. I just got back from watching Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn. Wow, that is a mouthful, but at the same time you could say the same for the plot, which I'll get to right away. The plot is that Harley Quinn, played once again by Margot Robbie, has broken up with Mr. J, the Joker, and has set out on her own after she's had enough of his BS, which any of us would gladly have enough of it at this point. But without his protection, she's become vulnerable to every single thug in Gotham City, in particular Black Mask, played by Ewan McGregor, and his right-hand man Victor Zsasz, played by Chris Messina. On top of that, when it comes to the plot of a diamond that belonged to a very rich family in Gotham, everyone is gunning for Quinn and said diamond, which was stolen by a pickpocket named Cassandra Cain. And Quinn has to ultimately work with Cassandra to get them both alive in this situation, as well as work alongside disgruntled detective Renee Montoya, played by Rosie Perez, a crossbow-wielding assassin named Huntress, played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and Black Canary in order to deal with Black Mask and every thug in the city who has a bone to pick with kind of all of them at a certain point. So, when it comes to this movie, it definitely feels like it's less of a Birds of Prey movie and more of a Harley Quinn ensemble film. Now, but when you look at it as that, it's actually really, really fun. Say what you will about Suicide Squad, but Margot Robbie was one of the best things about Suicide Squad. I personally think her portrayal of Harley is really charming, and it gets played to its fullest strength here. Not only does Margot Robbie narrate through a good majority of the film, but she puts on a tour de force performance, letting you know that she's totally into her character, and she's as synonymous with Harley Quinn now in the pop culture pantheon as her original voice actress from Batman the Animated Series, or even Tara Strong's performances as her, in my opinion. But alongside that, Rosie Perez does a great job as Renee Montoya. I love the 80s catchphrases that she comes up with for her cop duties. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, I think, was born to play a character like Huntress. She's probably my favorite because of how socially awkward she is, but at the same time how she clearly has rage issues. It's too bad that she doesn't get a lot of screen time in the film, but she steals the scene whenever she is there. Black Canary is also pretty good, but let's just say they underuse her canary cry for a while. She only uses it once, and while you could have had a few smaller uses of it right before the big one that steals the show. I understand you don't want to use a special power that a character has too many times, but I think more than one canary cry would have been nice. And on top of that, the plot of the film feels very much like the 2016 Deadpool movie, not only with the main character's narration, but also through the out-of-order style of storytelling that was clearly done because of the craziness of the protagonist. And it worked for Deadpool, and I think it works pretty well for Harley Quinn. Not as much, because Harley Quinn isn't, in my opinion, she's not as insane as Wade Wilson, but it still gets the point across. But one of the problems with the film that I have is the fact that the Birds of Prey, Black Canary, Huntress, and Renee Montoya, even though they get a lot of screen time in the trailers, they're not in the movie for as much as you might like. Montoya gets a decent subplot, and Canary does as well, but Huntress really gets robbed out of screen time until near the third act of the film. And I really think that she could have been used a lot more, especially since Mary Elizabeth Winstead really gets to play around with the character a lot. Also, the Cassandra Cain's character feels like they only named her Cassandra Cain because she's recognizable from the comics. She's nothing like the Cassandra Cain from the comics, and it feels like they could have just written in a completely different character, and it would have been better. With that said, though, Ewan McGregor is having a ball playing Roman Sionis, and even if he's a little bit different from the Sionis from the comics, I personally think it's one of his better portrayals, especially considering how over-the-top, gleefully entertaining he is, and also just how crazy and ruthless he is. Which, and you could say the same for Chris Messina's Victor Zsasz. I think he's honestly underrated, and I think it's the best Zsasz I've seen since Arkham City. So when you combine that with some stellar action scenes, Cathy Yan's rather interesting direction, and a ton of over-the-top moments, this isn't exactly the best DC movie. I think that is still a tie between Wonder Woman and Shazam for me. I'd put it among the good DC movies as far as this universe goes. So, Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of Harley Quinn gets an 8.5 out of 10 from me. See you next time.